Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor, Cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello, Nightmare Cats and Kittens.
Ruben Bressler.
Are you Kahira? Was that the implication? That you have nightmare cats?
I think this is about the one that was banned, but sure, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be Lurrus. Yeah.
Yes. We also get started with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. But we are kicking it off with a first pick and a giveaway. $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com right now. Type !raffle in the chat for your chance to win. And subscribe first. You can do so with Bezos Bucks to get 2 chances to win. Double chances. Yeah. And that happened last week. Somebody subbed and they entered and they won. Yeah. Just like that.
Jeff Bezos, it was said this week, is on track to become the first trillionaire by 2026. So I'm not saying that this is the best way to take money from Jeff Bezos. However, it is the best way for us to get money from Jeff Bezos. I recommend buying Guillotine Futures.
Guillotine Futures, yes. Eat the
there
rich.
Are other ways.
All right.
And also
if
buy
you get
local.
a chance, you should watch the Frontline episode about him, like just to see what he looked like even 10 years ago. It's a pretty radical transformation.
It's true. That said, our first pick this week is the banned and restricted announcement. Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what was going to happen in some form or fashion, but as usual, Wizards throws us a little curveball. Let's start in Vintage. Let's start and work our way back. Vintage Lurrus of the Dream Den is banned, not restricted.
Right.
Banned.
Yeah. There hasn't been a ban since Shahrazad, and I believe that was in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, a restriction would have done absolutely nothing to Lurrus.
Yeah, it would have done
not
zero.
The card isn't a problem. The ability to play it from your sideboard was the problem.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
being able to pair it with Black Lotus was ultimately the problem.
So moving to Legacy, we expected Lurrus to be banned. That card is dumb in formats where everything goes around 1 or 2 mana cards, but. Yes. They also said, hey, Zirda the Dawnwaker, which is also the first Boros card ever banned in Magic history, was also banned. Zirda the Dawnwaker with Grim Monolith turns out to be busted in half.
Yeah, so this was seeing play in the Bomberman list, I believe. And Bomberman's always been a bit of a meme deck, but if a deck is good, people will kind of hold their noses and play with it. And so this was more of a preemptive ban of, we see what you're thinking, we see what you're doing, and we just don't want that to ever be a thing. And, there are some people that feel like the Legacy ban could have been more aggressive. A lot of people were asking for Arcum's Astrolabe, because Legacy is right back in this weird space of these check pile decks where, we had Deathrite Shaman that made mana essentially irrelevant. And then a short time later, Arcum's Astrolabe came out. And so you're back to these sort of good stuff, kind of soup decks where you can play Dead of Winter and Coatl, and Leovold and Wastelands, because why not? And that's just not the Legacy that a lot of people want to be playing. And so people were very surprised that the Astrolabe didn't go. It was obviously good enough to be banned in Pauper. People saw what it did there. And they are concerned that Legacy is kind of falling into that same trap where mana just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Right. And Zirda is very much like Reflector Mage, where it was banned because Wizards is like, we know what's coming. We know this is going to be the best thing after this other thing goes away.
I see it more like Rampaging Ferocidon, where it's like Justice it wasn't even close to Justice for Ferocidon, or it wasn't even close to dominant because of the thing that was so dominant.
Right.
But Basalt Monolith, Grim Monolith. I mean, I'd seen lists that were like Staff of Domination garbage, things like that, and you can run it with both Walking Ballista and Hangerback Walker. And so that was sort of the shell that people were worried about. It's a minimum opportunity cost. To play it in a Stompy deck that wouldn't have gotten access to Chalice the Void or Trinisphere, but a Stompy deck nonetheless.
Right.
And so they sort of saw that in the future, but the real headliner is the thing that was dominating everything when it happened.
Right. So moving on to Brawl. I was expecting them to say companions are banned in Brawl, because you kind of start with 9 cards when you have the commander and the companion and everything else. So that's not what happened. Instead, they banned Winota, Joiner of Forces, again, the second only Boros ban of all time, who was doing...
She's Mardu.
No, she's red and white.
Two colorless red white.
Is she?
Two colorless red white.
I thought she was Mardu.
Two colorless red white for a 4/4.
Yeah, and she
Okay,
was
you're right, I'm
causing.
sorry.
It's fine. She was causing some serious problems in the format. I definitely played against more than one Winota deck, and it just ran me over.
problem.
It was ridiculous to get that, just to guarantee that trigger on turn 4 basically every single time.
Basically, yeah.
And Draneth Magistrate was also banned.
Right.
Very
That one makes
sorcerer spyglass type way. You know, like it's just
Sorcerer
shutting down what you're doing.
Spyglass, I mean, they try to get rid of that effect whenever it pops up in a format like Brawl, where you're dependent upon things like that. And so this makes a lot of sense.
I opened 2 of those in my pre-release pack, and I was like, I feel so attacked right now.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's
I am
not
definitely
cool.
surprised that they didn't get rid of Companion as a mechanic for Brawl. The only deck I've been playing in Brawl this season has been a Atris of the Half-Truths deck that has Gyruda as its companion.
That's crazy.
And that's like all I'm doing, and because I'm starting with 9 cards in my hand. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just play Narset of the Old Ways plus Zerda, or one of the other legal combos, Kenrith plus Gigantha, something like that. It's just an extra card. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right. And well, speaking of extra cards, and the part of this announcement that was the most surprising, and where they kind of go bit for bit, and they say this is why we banned this one, this is why we banned that one, this is why we banned this one. And then we get to companions, and down at the bottom we have a sentence that is quite extraordinary. They say, if we see signs of long-term health issues resulting from high metagame share of companion decks, we're willing to take steps up to or including changing how the companion mechanic works.
Like errata.
That is huge. That's errata like what they did with Time Vault for like 10 years or whatever, where everything was different and it worked some way, and all of a sudden it has counters and it doesn't have counters, and it does what it said on the card, then it doesn't what it says on the card. Like, changing the fundamental way companion works that's crazy. Like, in terms of Magic, they've never done that.
It is unprecedented. It is not crazy. It's kind of what we want, right? Like, it's kind of the whole issue. I mean, not the whole issue. Much of the issue is it being an extra card.
I think let's just ban the ones that are too good.
Right, exactly. Some of the issue is it being too consistent, but it's not all of the issue of it being too consistent. A lot of the issue is it being too consistent, plus being card advantage.
Plus, you can't interact with it, which I totally understand. But at the same time, like, that feels like a different mechanic at that point. You know what I mean? Like, just make a different mechanic. Ban the companions that are screwed up. You messed up. Find a synonym for companion and make that mechanic that isn't broken, essentially, in some people's eyes. But as of right now, again, they did something, like fun and interesting and unique and out there that was super surprising, and I love that. So keep doing that, and if there are problems in formats, just ban the crap out of them. Like, it's okay.
I like the design space that's available for companions. I don't necessarily love it for a standard legal format, but I think you can do it for a conspiracy. You can do it certainly for unsets. You can do it for masters expansions, 3-color companions that have interesting deck building requirements. Cool design space there. The problem is that it was so ubiquitous to start with that they might never go back to that well.
See, I feel the opposite. I think if you're going to have a companion, it needs to be in a format with a smaller card pool. You can see it in their explanations for why they banned Lurrus in Vintage and Legacy. They chalk it up to because of the nature of Vintage's wide card pool and powerful restricted cards. The same thing with Legacy. They say the wide card pool of powerful low mana cost permanents. The companion's more likely to be breakable when you have a wider pool to choose from, a larger pool.
Yeah,
I think if it's fine, I think if anything, it should be fine for standard and really nothing else.
Well,
I'm amazed
that
it
makes
hasn't
sense.
anything in modern yet.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Interesting update for Commander. They have updated sort of what cards are legal for Commander, and it usually they had the line previously that said Commander is played with vintage legal cards.
Right.
Lurrus is going to remain legal in that format, so that sentence no longer exists in terms of how what makes up Commander decks.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's a unique case. I mean, Companion does a lot of things that mess with a lot of different buttons and levers, and so it's not terribly surprising that this is another new frontier.
Right. So that's going to be super interesting. We'll see what they do about that.
We're still on track. We're on track for my prediction that half of them or 6 of them get banned.
I don't think so. I think one, 2 getting banned, one like literally out of nowhere. We weren't even looking at Zerta and Grim Monolith or whatever. So we'll see, based on information we'll look at later, maybe Yorion should be something that's looked at very closely.
The problem, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's move on here to gather the townsfolk. We really actually have a pretty high slate of stuff to talk about this week, which is great.
Did you see that tweet that somebody posted where they were like, "Oh, Magic Mike's is going to be good tonight," which usually means that
finally a show worth watching.
Oh my God, we make one every once in a while. Well, look,
yeah, exactly.
The MTG Arena State of the Game May 2020 came out. And in it talked about Historic Anthology 3, which is going to have 27 new cards. You give them, 4,000 gems, and they'll give you a playset of all 27 of them, including the Hondens, which I thought was dope.
And Unburial Rights.
There's a bunch of goodies in this anthology for Aaron.
Ooh, Ancient Ziggurat's in there. That's going to be dope.
Ziggurat, not so much for Aaron.
But I'm better
good
for humans.
Good for like humans. Yeah, obviously.
You think
good
I'm
for
paying for things with mana?
Right.
Like what?
No, the Unburial Rights, a bunch of stuff with effects from the graveyard.
Look, this is the last Historic Anthology bundle they have for this year between Standard and Jumpstart and Amonkhet. Okay, and other Pioneer-focused set remasters. They're going to be adding a bunch of additional cards to the format with a variety of different places, which is interesting. They're going to support Historic as they expand their Eternal format offerings. So that's a thing that you're going to have. So moving forward, they're going to have those Historic ranked queues are going to be there permanently. They're not going to get rid of them as they had been. So this is a full-blown format. And it also note it mentions Jumpstart, which we've not talked a lot about, but I am unbelievably hyped for. I think that is going to be one of the best products of the year for Wizards. And let me tell you, Ikoria has done buku business. So that's saying something. Jumpstart,
what kind of business?
Buku.
What is buku business?
Exactly. It's a lot. The point is, Jumpstart is uniquely created.
Boku.
Someone at Wizards played Keyforge and was like, "Wow, this is brilliant. Let's do it in Magic." And that's exactly what it is. Buying two packs, slap them together. There's going to be the best combinations that Spikes care about. It's going to be super fun and varied for the casuals. It's going to do unbelievably well, I think, and I'm super hyped about it. So go Jumpstart.
I'm glad.
And it comes out a week after M21, as I understand it. Okay.
When does M21 come out?
July 15th, I think.
So we're going to get another band announcement in the summer before that for Standard.
Probably. We'll see. That said, they also know they're going to bring Cube Draft with real people on the client. I'm so sick. I'm so pumped. Yeah, that's going to be dope. I can't wait to Cube Draft with real people. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be 555 of the cards in the
Cube is a format where we get to play with broken things. It's not like a regular constructed format.
The cube that was just on Magic Online, I think it was called the Dakaru Cube, I enjoyed that very much. I forced Aristocrats twice.
Very nice.
I had a really good time. My boyfriend even played it. He did blue-white control. We really, really enjoyed that cube, and we tend to cube when we're together.
Now, when he drafted blue-white control, did you leave the room?
I did die a little bit inside.
You saw a second pick Jace the Mind Sculptor and said, "I'm not going to sit here for 4.5 hours."
I was actually making dinner when he was doing it, so I could hear him on the laptop, picking the cards, and there was just a little part of me that was just like,
"I'm going to flashback, think twice." Woo! Yeah, I don't even know if that card's in the cube, but.
All right, but burying the lead here a little bit, that Cube Draft is great, and it's going to show up on June 12th with a free entry, so get on it. Introducing the Arena Open. Oh my God. In 15 years of talking about Magic the Gathering, this is one of the coolest things that has ever happened to Magic. People are so damn cynical. It drives me nuts. I've done nothing but battle against cynicism my whole career of can you just like something? Can they just say from the comfort of your own home, they're going to have tournament software built into the client where you can play in day one, go 7 wins or 3 losses and you're out. So you got to do at least 7 wins. Make it to day 2, another 7 wins. They send you $2,000.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Essentially for free.
Yeah, you don't have to pay a dime. You can get into it with gold. 20,000 gold is doable. I know plenty of people who wear it as a badge of honor. They will never spend one cent on Magic Arena, and they'll get to Mythic, and they'll do it every single season because that's what that's their thing, right? I'm not going to buy the starter $5 pack thing. I'm just going to play for $0, and that's great. And this is a way you can literally get paid, get your bills paid, pay your rent by just playing Arena. That's amazing. Yep. Thank you, Wizards. This is incredible. This is actually fantastic. There's nothing wrong about this. And then, of course, there's nothing wrong about this. There's Magic players involved. What'd you screw up this time?
The $100 bill isn't folded correctly.
Well, the day one is best of one. Oh, God forbid. Oh, we have broken the tournaments of Magic.
Listen, this is super cool. Well, first of all,
amazing.
There's a couple of interesting things happening here. First of all, day one is standard best of one.
Yes.
That you have to get to 7 wins or 3 losses. Day 2 is best of 3.
Yes.
You can change decks between day 1 and day 2.
Wow.
That's cool.
So you don't have to play the same 60. You don't have to play the same archetype.
Yeah. And take advantage of that, people. Do it.
Yeah,
don't
absolutely.
Threaten
Play a good best of 1 deck.
Play a good best of 1 deck.
Play a good best of 3 deck.
You're a Spike. What's wrong with you? Just go take advantage of stuff that they give you advantages for. It's okay. I honest to God don't understand it. I'm like, you couldn't just know the rules of the road and just drive that way? They'll still reward you. You'll still get to play your super real tournament Magic that we played for all those years on day 2. That's still right there. Now, this is just one of those times where I was like, how dare you be mad at this? How dare you be mad at this? This is insane.
A couple other things talking about value is all you have to do in order to break even is make day 2 and then go 2 and 3. So you break even and you get the Godzilla lands, you get the day 2 token.
Right. You get the Godzilla lands just for playing.
4,000 gem entry fee.
Right, so this is a way for you to get those lands as well, which I think is terrific.
Yep, another great way to do that. The other thing that's really cool about this is it's best of 1 on day 1. It doesn't say that you only get 1 entry.
Right, you can enter all day.
If you owe 3, you can just pay 20,000 more gold. Now, obviously, that's going to get expensive, but it's a re-entry tournament.
You jump right back in. You can play. And, there's arguments about, is that, the enforcing bad behaviors or whatever, but, letting people play a game of skills and chance and putting money on the line, that's just a thing grown adults are going to do. So
this is the most common way tournament entry fee works in poker.
Yeah.
And it only makes sense for Arena because, what else? What else are you going to do? You're going to tell people that they can't play more Magic?
Right, and then some people's like, well, then they're going to play in multiple queues, and I'm like, that sounds great for Wizards. Wizards is winning there, and you're playing in high stakes Magic right there from the client. You didn't have to go do anything else. Whew, that's incredible. Speaking of doing something else, we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. That said, move on here to our next topic, in which we are talking about the Love Your LGS promotion. This is
really lovely.
This is nuts. Now look, there are conspiracy theories about how Wizards just don't care about paper. This is much like, Mark Rosewater's been destroying Magic for 25 years now. They just don't care about the LGSs. Okay, whatever. And much like I think a lot of things that I've learned about Wizards over the years is that the left hand sometimes doesn't like the right hand and they don't talk to each other very much. So maybe the people who are all on the, the LGS side ain't talking to people on the digital side. I don't know. I don't work there. I'm just saying. The point is, this right here is 100% one of the coolest things I've ever seen them do. Now, granted, they're already giving multiple mystery booster boxes to stores for free, but they're also going to give them special promos. I'm going to bring them up on the screen now. You want to tell us a little bit about them, Aaron?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, because I just found out about this today, if you buy any Magic product from your local game store, you can receive a Reliquary Tower promo card, which I think is still going for a couple bucks. So beautiful new art as well, very popular card in Commander. If you buy a Magic booster box of Ikoria or a mystery booster box, you can receive the Buy a Box promo for Hangerback Walker, which is done in the form of the Godzilla cards as Mecha Godzilla Battle Fortress, which is really, really sweet.
Yeah.
And so these are incentives to visit your local game store. Also, if you visit your local game store, if they're eligible to do events and you're doing it, safely and everything, when you play in an event, you can receive an art print from the store as well. So giving people a reason to go back to their local game stores, giving people reasons to buy from their local game stores, and this is a cute way to to get you, supporting your store, because there haven't been many opportunities to do so these last couple months.
Yeah, things are slowly but surely opening up. The Cool Stuff Games locations, I think, as of today, all of them are open with a limited capacity. Things like no events, wearing masks in the store, pick up, drop off, that type of stuff. But it is happening, and there are people getting games and product and actually will take Magic cards home to play with them, and that's been really sweet.
Yeah, the Reliquary Tower, I just looked it up. Cheapest one I could find was $2.50.
Nice.
This is going to be a foil promo that's going to be less common. That's just good value, even if you're buying just a couple singles from your local store. That Hangerback Walker is nice. I like
right,
that.
and I assure you, this was not something that's been planned for a while, and stores knew about it or whatever. This just kind of came out of the blue, and it's great. And high five, Wizards, you crushed it. This is awesome. Let's move on here to what kind of the more from there. If you're able to get cards from your LGS, why can't you play cards against other people from the cards you got those, or when you got those cards? How about the online CommandFest on June 6th? This is interesting.
Yeah, so we've been kind of wondering when the next CommandFest was going to happen, and I know that I had kind of joked with my friends that, Wizards is kind of relieved that the pandemic happened, because now they don't have to reveal CommandFest, because we were thinking they were taking a really long time, where it was like, come on, Wizards, it's already March, where are the details? And then the pandemic happened, and it isn't happening now. And so we know very little about this. I've even talked to a couple of the guests who are involved in this roster, and they don't know very much, but I'm under the impression that it's going to be a free event. There is a donation suggested. The donation's going to go to a charity, and you're going to be playing Commander via webcams, the way that a lot of us have been doing
on
spelltable.com.
Yeah,
which might be a little difficult because webcams and microphones have been in really short supply lately, along with everything else. And so if you don't already have these items, you might have a really hard time. If you're particularly crafty, you might be able to jam in your phone into a camera.
You can use your phone as a camera, which is a thing.
So you are going to have some sort of setup to be able to do this, but we don't know anything in terms of how the matchmaking is going to work, how you're going to be able to find games. I'm under the impression that they're going to be streaming some of the games of the more visible personalities, but it is a little bit of a glimmer of hope in the darkness that's going on right now.
Right.
And I'm probably going to participate as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. This is spelltable.com. Had a different name, something to do with EDH before, but they have developed software that, basically as a just happenstance, they started to develop the ultimate fix for being stuck inside all day.
Yeah.
And that software just happened to come out about 6 weeks ago. So spelltable.com helps you play real life Magic against other players. And it uses a card recognition software so that you can see who everybody's cards are, because that was one of the things that developers had a problem with, is they didn't play Magic for the last 10 or 20 years, and so they needed to know what the cards were.
Right.
So to give you that kind of tool and to have life totals and stuff, and show whose turn it is. I know that's a little silly, but sometimes in Commander you're like, wait, whose turn was it again? I've seen that happen. But spelltable.com is working with Wizards and CFB to make all of this work, and stream these games and try to have some command fun at home. As far as I understand, they run most of it through Discord and create matchmaking through Discord and stuff like that. So we'll see where that goes. And
I'll be there.
It's really neat. Yeah. June 6th. Here we go. Just a couple weeks.
June 6th is my uncle's birthday.
So something that Wizards did a few days ago was they put some card sleeves on sale, but they weren't just any card sleeves. They were flags of countries. And it was not bad. It's not bad, right? It's not inherently bad. It's fine. It's just, it was a little weird. I wasn't prepared for this.
Omissions.
There were definitely some omissions, which was kind of odd. It just, I don't know how to put it. Maybe it just feels so tacky. Is that the word? Is that the feeling? I don't.
Tacky's not a bad word for it. It felt tone deaf.
Yeah, I don't think it's tone deaf. I think it's inconsistent. Because the countries and the nationalities aren't constantly at play. It's not like the Olympics, where it's a constant theme of where they're from and their nationalities. It kind of comes and goes, and so it just seems
they didn't have a Canadian flag. For real, guys?
They also don't have the flag. Yeah, for the Player of the Year, they don't have their flag.
I don't
Canada
think they had
wasn't
Germany. Is Germany one of the ones they were missing? it's just very very pick and choose.
No, I think the weird thing about that was they put like Germany and Italy and Russia or something together, and it's and I was like, wow,
hey, that's a good. I get the reference.
And it's weird, because then you're dealing with cultures and all this other crap. So like, it just felt weird. The whole thing just like struck me as odd. I couldn't bring myself to buy the sleeve, the American sleeve. I'm like, I'm never going to use this thing. I'm just never. I can't.
Yeah, I'm never gonna. I will say
I'm going to use my Liliana Amano sleeves just till the end of time.
Yeah,
I'm
not gonna. I wouldn't use like flag sleeves in real life.
Right, I would never do that in real life.
Use them online.
Yeah. It's just. It's like America
Partially
pants. You know what I mean? It's like, you wear the flag as your clothing. You're like,
Also, American patriotism hits different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just don't want to. I don't want that. But I also don't want to buy Ireland flag just to have. You know what I mean? It's very like what's the target audience?
Yeah.
And what are we offering?
Right, and it has to be, like the people who are from those countries, and they know who use the software the most. Like, you can imagine they would just, pick the top X or whatever, and then maybe get the rest later.
The Olympics metaphor, I could see if you used this during a tournament. Like, for example, if this was a Mythic Championship and you really wanted to, emphasize that, okay, fine, have, the German flag and so forth. But by choice, it just, it doesn't.
Did they have Brazil? Doesn't look like
know.
they had Brazil. That's stupid.
That said, let's keep on moving. We got plenty of stuff to talk about. Aaron, tell me about Pass the Brush.
Yeah, so this is a TikTok trend where people do these videos with reveals. And so in this case, this was originally started by, I believe, Tarmacat, a friend of the show, and she had assembled a bunch of cosplayers, and they start off by kind of looking like they normally do. Some of them, they're in their PJs, or they're looking a little rough. Some of them just woke up, they're lounging around the house, and then you take this brush and you bring it up to the camera really closely, and then when you pull it back, you are in your cosplay. And so we've seen a couple videos, a couple challenges like this. This is the Pass the Brush challenge, and then several Brazilian cosplayers also made their own version of this as well. Some really, really gorgeous folks out there. And so this is TikTok again, just making waves in the Magic community. It's a very untapped medium. We've seen people like Sinead Beckham, DZ has made videos, Chase Manicurves has made some TikToks as well, and so people are really capitalizing on this. It's bringing out new kinds of content, and it's really well done, and it's just delightful. Like, you can't be mad at it. It's just positive and fun.
Pass the Brush it started with the cosplay community, as far as I'm aware. Just overall, but the more wider cosplay community of comic book characters and video game characters and the like. Also went to actors and other types of performers, and has sort of made its way back around to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, and it's just fun to watch. I've had it playing on the screen here to see people, take something as certainly as isolating as what we got right now.
What is Olivia dressed as?
That's Shouldered.
Jeepers. I've never seen that one.
That was dope. Just to see them kind of having fun and making the best of it. We're all stuck inside. Let's do something cool. This was great. High five. All right, let's see here. A good note about our sponsor. Cardhoarder.com has had for a very long time a wait list to get into their loan program. This is where you'll pay a certain fee and you'll be able to loan a certain amount of cards for a certain amount of time. And now there's no more wait list. We did it. They got enough inventory and they have enough product, I can imagine, that they can now open the loan program to whoever wants it. So go out there and pay a low cost to play whatever you want.
Best loan service out there. We're not just saying that because they sponsor us. We've been riding with them forever. And if you go on their website now, and I don't know if this has always been here, but they have a calculator that can give you some idea of what this will cost you. So if you want to borrow a 500 ticket deck, that'll run you $15 a week. That's not bad, considering what you can get for 500 tickets on Magic Online. And so it's affordable, great customer service. I had a very, very, very minor issue happen the other day, and they were on it. I think it was really late at night too, where I was surprised somebody even emailed me back. And so great service. Your cards always match. They have a large number of cards available, great stock, just nothing.
They'll match if they can, for sure. But like, if
well, you know what I mean, though. There are some loan companies out there that'll have you looking like a Juggalo quinceañera, and you can't have that. So why keep it looking tight?
And it's also great because you pay that $15 and you can play in events and then win. Have your winnings be more than what you're paying to loan it out for, and then you just give it back and you're all good. Like, it's super cool to play whatever you want in any event you want. That's really nice. So that happened. Let's move on here. Interesting way to use a subscriber base. CFB recently went to a paywall, essentially, for their services, for their content. And they have announced here the CFB Pro Showdown, a free tournament exclusively for CFB Pro members.
This is so smart.
This is smart. This is a good, smart move.
How is this the first time this has been done?
I will tip my hat to the marketing manager over there at CFB because they're doing some good work here. This is a hell of a way to promote your service.
It's going to be on standard. It's going to be arena, a $1,000 store credit prize pool, and then there's something called an end boss where the winner can square off against a member of Team CFB for the chance to double their winnings. So
this is really
you can face off against Martin Yuza, Huey Jensen. They're also doing coverage of this, featuring people like Reed and LSV. This is really, really nifty. I like this.
This is the smartest.
This was very smart, and I was very impressed. Now, see, what's the real happen if you play against the CFB for 2x, but if you lose,
double or nothing.
Double or nothing. That's
a little risky.
I know, right? But the stakes are a little high.
For the Niv biscuit.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so let's move on here to a desperate Ravings. It's time for your Everything's Awful update. We don't say the C words, we don't do that stuff, but we do note that Gen Con officially canceled the event this year.
Gen Con 2020 officially canceled. They posted a number of things that are available online. Right. There was a letter from the founder. There's a bunch of updates that you can go look at GenCon.com about what you can do now.
And this is the first time in 51 years.
Yeah, this is particularly soul-crushing because for a lot of people, Gen Con is their social interaction for the year. You can also see people at Gen Con that you can't see anywhere else. They will only come out just for Gen Con. It's also a big hit for people that wanted to demo their games or sell their products. They're not going to be having that exposure or making that money. But more importantly, I think that people were looking at Gen Con as sort of a beacon where they were like, if Gen Con's still happening, things are going to be okay because it's Gen Con. Gen Con never cancels. And so for Gen Con to, admit that this is happening and cancel is very devastating for people because it means that things aren't as okay as we thought they were. And so a lot of people understanding, it makes sense, but it still feels really, really bad.
Right. And this is we're not in the time of large gatherings. We're just not.
It's just not gonna. I can't imagine going to a convention with more than 1,000 people going to an event.
You're likely to get sick at Gen Con even without a pandemic.
Right. Con crud.
Con crud was always a factor.
I can't think of a time I've come home from Gen Con and been healthy.
It's true. So you got to take 4 or 5 days to get over it,
The silver lining is that during the dates of the original planned convention, July 30th to August 2nd, they're going to be hosting Gen Con online. So there's going to be a whole slate of events and programming that you can attend from home to be a part of Gen Con. Things like panels, things like discussions, lots of stuff like that for whatever you want to be doing during those times. You just can't be there in Indianapolis.
Right.
Which is fine, but I think for me, it's like, when I think of Gen Con, I think of, roaming the halls and running into random cosplayers and saying, can I take your picture? And, there's just so many things you can't recreate digitally.
You do what you can, right?
Of course.
A bunch of cons are doing this. I was recently on a WonderCon panel for WonderCon from home, which would have been last month. Origins Game Fair doing something very similar to Gen Con.
Yeah, like the board game industry itself is like not hurting, basically, but they're just kind of starved at this point. They're getting to the point where no new games are coming out because there was Chinese New Year plus the thing we don't talk about. And, you know, you have these conventions where you would usually kind of discover these games. You'd be able to demo these games and go, oh, that's a really cool gameplay mechanic. I'm all in on this weird game I would never have heard of if I wasn't walking by and sat down at the demo table.
Yeah.
So that stuff happens all over the place. And so between this, Dice Tower had a convention they canceled. SPIEL Essen, which is the largest gaming convention on the planet. Like, that's 6 figures of people that are not going to be there. Absolutely, multiple years. And one time I got food poisoning so bad.
I remember.
That I was stuck in the hotel for days. And then I got to fly back home sick as a dog. It was my God, it was awful.
Now, is one place SPIEL or SPIEL Essen?
It's SPIEL at Essen. So Essen's the town, and SPIEL means game in German. So
it's a whole spiel. If there's one place that I don't want to be more than a convention hall during the C-word events that are currently belying our current existence, it's an airplane. So I don't really want to be flying.
A lot of recycled air going around.
I don't want to be in the recycled fart tube flying 600.
Airlines are not honoring their commitment to keep spaces between people. They're not enforcing the mask requirements. It's just a mess.
So I don't know why, but because Tampa officials have given the green light for the Tampa Bay Comic-Con in the middle of July. For God's sake, please do not go there. Please, I beg of you. We can get through this by not doing these things.
Now, I've given Florida a lot of crap in the past. Defend yourself.
I'm from Tennessee, man. I'm a transplant. This ain't my place. This ain't my people. They're cool, but this ain't my people. Like, you know, give me back to the Blue Ridge Mountains, man. That's where I'm from.
Who is going to go to this? Like,
I don't know. And it seems odd.
Now, some things are starting to try to get back to normal. Major League Soccer and the National Basketball Association announced that teams were reopening training camps with lots of new restrictions. Mixed martial arts, for example, is doing lots of stuff in Jacksonville the last couple of weeks. But those are events of like 50, right? Even with teams plus doctors plus coaches plus whatever staff you need, those are less than 1,000 people.
They're trying to do essentially what they describe as sort of the bubble league, where you keep everyone in this little bubble. But even when they tried that overseas, they already tried to do this over in Europe, and it's failed. Two people got the thing we don't talk about, and they were doing their best to stay, isolated in hotels. Like, it's
so. I got bad news about Tampa Bay Comic-Con.
Got some bad news. So that said, move on here to a weird, we don't always talk about good news in Desperate Ravings, but we got to rave over the fact that the Commander 20 foils are great.
Yeah.
They're sweet and they don't bend or warp like every other foil from the last couple of years.
I thought they were kidding. Like, when I first clicked on this post, I thought it was just people being sassy.
I thought this was magic the onioning.
Yeah. Sarcasm, right? Hashtag, R, not the onion. Like, what? Yeah. Really? Okay. And I want to point it out because, like, whatever Wizards does, when they do it right, I want to be like, yes, exactly. Do more of that. You see what you did here? This is great.
So my question is, what changed?
Right. Well, there's different printers all over the world that they utilize. And so maybe they changed printers. Maybe they did something different with the paper. I don't know. But whatever they did, it worked. And so there's there's curling that's happening in Ikoria that is not happening on the C20 foils. Yeah. Which does kind of bring us to our next point. So Wizards has box toppers in Ikoria. And this is where you can get the Godzilla alternate art stuff, which is super cool. Again, the Godzilla stuff is amazing. High five. Take the person who had that idea out to steak dinner.
Anybody open one? Have you guys opened one?
I've not personally opened one. Okay. I know they've opened them, obviously, at
I haven't touched a physical Magic card I haven't left my house in months. So.
Yeah, we're on week 8 now. 8 or 9. Oh, my God. But either way, what's happening is that... Now, let's back up here. Wizards has done box toppers before in Ultimate Masters, and it worked out great. Those were super cool. They were super cool bonuses, and everyone had a good time, and they're worth a whole bunch of money, and that's awesome. Well, this time... However it happened, the box toppers have shifted during, flight or whatever, and a lot of people are getting bent box toppers.
Horribly
like straight up like Pringles, like it slipped forward in the box and just got like a squish there, and so you have a completely bent card. Wizards will replace them. There is a product replacement page that you can go to on wizards.com so you can get your correct box topper. Obviously, that's going to take a bit of doing. But, it's kind of weird to me. I'm like, why was Ultimate Masters okay, but somehow Ikoria wasn't?
Yeah, it has to be the packaging, right? It has to be something wrong with the packaging where they slid between your cushion and the door.
Like, it is a different shape, right? Like, the Ultimate Masters boxes had that weird, pyramid thing going on.
Yeah,
the wedges or whatever. So maybe they had something to do with it, but it happens so much
this is a wedge set.
This guy, he's a comedian.
I'm also upset with myself.
Okay. Moving on here. Actually, I want to cover the second part of this first, what I had as originally the second part. Someone made a really interesting post on the Arena subreddit, and they said Standard is well balanced in the worst possible way. Because what it feels awful to them is that every deck is so busted. There's no tug of war. When one deck gets their engine going, you might as well scoop. Every strategy is so strong and consistent in what they do that it feels like a drag race / matchup lottery. And it really does. Like, all these cards in these decks are sweet and they're humming right along. And when you get your aggro deck goes 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, destroy them with Questing Beast or whatever, you're just going to roll over that person. And is that really the best environment? Like, I suppose. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, so at the same time that people were criticizing the Red Bull tournament, which we might talk about, they also had a lot of complaints about the standard format. And, the Jeskai Luka deck is out of control and it's very powerful. Like you said, a lot of the decks just, are kind of on autopilot and there's no point in really watching them do their thing because you know that you're just sort of dead already. And that's fine for older formats. I think that's kind of what we sign up for is that experience, but you're not supposed to get that in standard. And so it's a little concerning.
I mean, there's a big difference between... So let's look at Agent of Treachery, right? That's kind of like the defining card in Standard at this moment.
Right.
Agent of Treachery decks used to be these blue-green mix-up ramp things.
Right.
Where you wanted to cast Agent of Treachery. Now, it's all cheating Agent into play faster and faster and faster with Winota or Luka or what have you. So you're getting your engines rumbling, and there's no recourse. If there's a Luka mirror, the first person to get an agent wins. Like, that's it, because they steal your land, and then you just keep making more agents for the rest of the game, and it's all over.
Right. When they can never get sort of agent advantage. And, again, that's where we're taking... When you do take bazookas into, a fist fight or whatever, it's going to be over like that. Like, we're talking turn 5, turn 6, who's basically won at that point. And you're like, all right, well, Mono Red got there. Or, Blue-Green drew 3 Uros or whatever, and we're just dead here. It's just what's happening. So it's fascinating to me because I do think there is a fairly balanced format. Like, you can play aggro. You can play the weird combo stuff, which might be too good, but still, you can play these things, and they're all fairly good. The Lurrus decks with the Celestia Lurrus decks was super cool. Like, all that stuff is viable, and once you get your engine going, you'll run away with the game. Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Brad Nelson tweeted, he said, I think something in Standard needs to be banned, but I don't have a strong opinion on what it should be. That feels like a problem in and of itself. Because when you say things like take away Urion, you could have arguments for all sorts of cards. Nissa, Teferi, like all sorts of permanents, Fires of Invention, you know what I mean? Like, something that you could argue is very problematic or does something stupid. Wilderness Reclamation doubles your mana. Like, how much mana doubling is too much mana doubling, right? I don't know. But I definitely know that it feels like we're just wielding giant tanks against each other, and it's crazy.
I will add, for my own personal enjoyment, I haven't played Standard in a long time. I play a lot of Magic Arena. Mostly Brawl these days. I was drafting a lot of Ikoria recently. Some Historic, just doing the daily quest kind of stuff. None of it's Standard. I just don't particularly want to play it.
And I think that's okay. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't sort of have to appeal to everybody. I hope that's not sort of their metric either, is that everybody wants to play Standard. No, man, not everyone's going to play Standard anyway. But someone had tweeted at Mark Rosewater about sort of the power level of recent sets and whatnot, and he said it depends on how much people enjoy us pushing boundaries. We can be more aggressive and ban more often, or we can play it safer and ban less frequently. It's two different ways.
More often.
Yes, it's two different ways to manage the game. We tend to swing that pendulum over time. So you do get to the Kaladesh's and and the Mirrodins, and then you go to the Kamigawas and the Mercadian Masks. Like we've been, and honestly, maybe on Ikoria or maybe the top of it was Throne of Eldraine, which was completely absurd. Can
you imagine Yorion with Oko in it? Man, I'm so happy that we don't have 80 card decks and Once Upon a Time. Man.
Barf. Oh my God, I can't. So, yeah. So you have, I want to play with the shiny toys that look overpowered and crazy, and I would rather ban a card, even if banning cards literally 3 days after they're released officially in paper. Man, it's just the world we're in right now, and I'm okay with that world. I like that world.
The other thing is that you can have rotation kind of bannings, like they sort of teased that they were going to do with Pioneer, which is like, all right, we're going to put this one on a watch list, or we're going to set this card aside for a little bit and see how it goes. Then we're going to unban it and ban these cards, and we're going to unban those and reban fetch lands and unban this and reban that, and like give us, time on, time off.
Right.
And it's like that would be like a new format every 2 weeks, every month.
Right. Ultimately, right. That can, like Magic players like to adjust and adapt, at least in my experience. I ain't talking for everybody because Magic players, but in my experience, I've found that it's a lot more fun to explore a format that has changed greatly than one that has just like a little tiny tweak. Just take this little tiny thing out. And you just be like, just get rid of these 3 cards for the next 3 weeks and let's see what happens and how happy we are about it. I don't know if that's better or worse, but again, we are certainly living in very powerful times. Moving on here. Secret Lair Ultimate Edition, this will be the Secret Lair Fetchlands, is delayed until June 12th because of the terrible thing we're not talking about. And it's just production delays. It's not unexpected in these trying times.
Yeah, fewer people in the office. Yeah.
And here, Wizards, you snuck one. You did it. You pulled a sneaky on me, all right? And you thought you was going to get away with it. Well, thank you so much to Jeremy Slick at Elion MTG.
Right.
Said he missed it during the MTG C20, the Commander 20 previews, but I can hear Mr. Orange in my head seeing a Storm card in the Teamer deck. They put Storm in Walmart again.
I think it's fine.
They didn't give us a C20 preview. They could have very easily given us this to preview.
And I could have mentioned it at the time. We're like, you know what? That means they're putting Storm back in Walmart.
What's wrong with that?
Storm is bad. It's bad Storm.
It's fine. I mean, think of all the parents out there. Their kids have nothing to do. They're stuck at home. Put a Storm deck in their hands. They'll learn, triggers, and they'll learn counting.
No,
and
I think that
gracious.
counting triggers for your Storm deck is not what you want to be teaching your kids during these trying times.
Well, they have to learn somewhere. Would you rather they learn it in the streets?
True. I guess I'd rather they learn at home than on the streets.
The card they put in to Walmart is Hunting Pack. This is well known to be nothing that is too scary. I'm not saying
this was in
power
Iconic
level
Masters,
wise.
I think.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fine.
It's just silly. I'm poking fun because I like to poke fun. Storm of Walmart is whatever. I still think it's ridiculous,
Storm,
but it's fine.
famous for being a 9 on the companion scale in terms of broken mechanics.
Wow. Can they rename it the companion scale? I would
Dredge
love that.
better still be number 10.
So much. Lastly here, there was a little post here on Twitter about people trying to understand the hand smoothing algorithm. It is very, very similar to best of 3. You're getting just a smidge, just a percentage bump there. Now it is enough to, I think, sort of be felt, if that makes sense. Like when I play best of 1 and I play best of 3, I feel the land smoothing more than than the jar of the best of 3.
I smooth my hands.
Right.
I have a new lotion
smooth
for it.
hands. Right. You
My
do that like a fly, right?
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. You do the fly hands.
Yeah,
you get some nice hands.
Fly hands. Got it.
Get that nice hand smoothing algorithm as you make your hands smoother.
If you have messed up your volume,
I've definitely messed up my volume. Let me go fix it.
Oh my God! Stop that. All right. So anyway,
fix.
It's an interesting post. Links are in the show notes, and I'll put the link here in the chat. If you guys want to check it out. Essentially, it is proportional so that your average lands per hand are the same as a normal hand draw. So that means that the more lands you put in your deck, the more you will have on average in your opening hand. I mean, that's just how percentages work, but it's cool to see it kind of laid out that way.
Right. But it's also malleable in that you can play those 12 land aggro decks, or you can play those stupid 50 land treasure hunt decks like we had posted in the Discord.
Right.
I would play that.
There you go. It's just silly. I mean, honestly, the other thing I find in that hand smoothing thing is that they give you a mix. Usually the mix of your deck, if you're a red-white deck, you get a mountain and a plains. You won't just get 2 mountains and 2 plains or whatever in these hands. You'll get both of those colors.
I mean,
that's what I've noticed.
You can say that all you want.
Puts on tinfoil hat.
I'm still gonna get my 1 splash color land in my 3 color draft deck. Always draw the forest in my red-white, splashing 1 quartz wood crasher.
Right. So are you ready for the official Magic Mike's ASMR? Is that going to be an unlockable tier on Patreon?
Oh man, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
I've offered to like read the rules, like just sort of go through like Gamepedia where they have like the comprehensive rules.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
We need to figure out what tiers to unlock for the inevitable Magic Mike's OnlyFans that needs to be coming at some point. So. Maybe the ASMR is the...
Our OnlyFans will be the opposite. It'll be people paying us to keep our clothes on.
It's true.
Like really, if we get to 500, nothing comes off.
Only hand smoothing.
Lots of fly
I saw
like.
there's a young lady on Snapchat I follow who, she does this weird thing where like she has really long nails, like a lot of these girls do. I don't know how they do it. Right, and she just does the talking motion, and so all you see is like the nails and you hear the clacking, and then she talks in the background, and it drives me crazy.
When it's me, it's my Only Lands account because I flood out every time. It's unbelievable.
Mine's Only Bands because I only want to play with the most broken.
Nice.
It's just
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Turn the corner here to the finisher.
The finisher.
TikTok. That's it. That's a tweet, as they say. The hot new short-form video sharing app that took the rotting, decaying corpse of Vine and Frankensteined it into 2020's fatalistic, post-apocalyptic Mad Max Fury Road Gen Z zeitgeist is here to stay. At least while none of us have anything better to do than stare into the unblinking iPhone eye of the internet and hope for the best that we go viral in a not talking about it sense. Now, I've been pent up and cabin fevered, and I could use some of the good chemicals. So tell me, how should Magic Mike's try to use the hot new social marketing site? Ruben?
Well, TikTok is a musically inclined app, and it has the power to make songs long dormant wake up with a vengeance, like so many frozen ice age bacterium reemerging after climate change melted Siberia. Songs like The Box by Roddy Ricch, Super Lonely by Benet, and Say So by someone named Doja Cat are supermassive, thanks to their appearance not on the radio or MTV or Spotify, but in 15-second clips of sexy teens doing their best color-by-numbers point-and-click, now that's what I call Kids Bop dance routines.
Nice.
So all we need to do is show off those perky breastlers, shine up those chromatic orbs, and give the people something to talk about.
Oh my God, Aaron.
Well, my favorite TikTok trend is the Pass the Brush Challenge. Last week, many of the cosplay community came together for 24 Karat Magic. The Brazilians came together. There have been quite a few. So I think we can pass the brush ourselves. I can certainly glow up. God knows Ruben needs it. And Evan, well, we can pass you some show shine. Just shine up the little novel buff right there.
It's Evan, you okay? Evan, for real, man. We'll send somebody to your house. Like, Evan, oh my God. It gets rough up there. Okay, it gets a little scary. Look, if there's...
towel.
It's
24
hat,
karat,
maybe.
forehead in the air.
If there's one thing I know, it's memes. I know how to tap into that particular avenue to get my message across. So here's how we get the youths, all right? You ready? We make all Dalgona coffee. I've never heard of this.
I don't know what it actually is. It's like the foamy coffee.
Huh.
I mean,
Ruben, this is a family program. Hello, editor. We all make Dalgona coffee. You get one a year. That's your one. We eat spicy peppers, and of course, we all have to make the Ahegao face. A face that I've made at least 5 times, #5kids. And that's as far as we're going in this family-friendly program.
I get that
right
joke.
here. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Aaron.
I have to Ahegao. I have to just go. I have to go.
Wow. Thank you, Ruben.
I would like to apologize to all of the Utes that are YOUTS, the Utes that were watching the end of the show there.
Ian's kids.
Yes. All right. As we move on here to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, Cardhoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.
#5mics.
#5mics.